Hello there, Chick Chat. We're back with another Gypsy episode. Last
Hi.
one before the finale, I think.
I think so.
Mhm.
I'm ready.
Might miss it a little bit. I'm definitely gonna miss a little bit of Ryan. I do like.
I know. This is probably the most chaotic show that we watch right now, just because there's stuff that's coming out now and there's stuff that's going on then. So there's just so much information. So I do like that. It keeps me the most entertained for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of stuff going on right now, I'm sure you guys have all seen that Gypsy posted a apology video for Ryan because Ryan got upset with being called the public. Then Ryan lashed out about being the public, so he started throwing her stuff out the window.
You know what he didn't throw, though? He probably didn't throw the painting of his wife that he touches. He didn't throw the painting that his wife made and wrote her name. And he probably didn't throw the damn neon sign. So there's more. So stay tuned.
And stay outside Ryan's window if you're trying to get
Stay
yourself a relic.
outside Ron's window.
Yeah, he probably didn't throw away anything where Gypsy wrote Gypsy Anderson. So
Not her name.
not her name. Not
That's
Anderson.
her name.
That's her name forever.
Gypsy made an apology video. I mean, the accountability thing I think is difficult for Gypsy. She always wants to give her perspective first, and the thing about an apology is it needs to come with full accountability without giving excuses. You need to say I made a mistake and I accept the consequences of that and I apologize. And anything really other than that is a little bit dismissive. And so she spends like 8 minutes in this apology talking about her own perspective.
10.
Yeah. Well, 8 out of the 10 minutes talking about her own reasons. And then she goes into her apology. And then she just cries about herself.
And not to confuse you guys, the apology is actually because Gypsy outed some of Ryan's medical information and got a ton of backlash for it.
Yeah.
So, in retaliation for the public, Ryan then outed some screenshots of Gypsy having a weak moment with him back in January, asking if he's with Amber J, and then saying that she don't know what nothing is anymore. Girl.
What made me the most interested out of this whole situation was during her 10-minute video, she said something about Christy and Rod almost getting a divorce and Christy not being reachable for several weeks. And that's just tea that we're also focused on Gypsy, right? And so I just want to know exactly when that was. And was that right after the time Gypsy had Aurora? Because it seems like that's when Gypsy reached out to Ryan. And I don't know. So I heard that tea, and that tea definitely piqued my curiosity, but I don't know anything about that because they're not out here like Gypsy is.
And it was rumored a while back that they were having problems, but it wasn't after the baby was born. That would be pretty new tea if that's the case. Gypsy, because what she outed about Ryan was not known about Ryan, and I'm sure he wouldn't have wanted that known.
Especially as a teacher. And at the end of the day, Ryan's still winning because everybody's like, yay, Ryan, it's so cool that you're in recovery. Nobody would have even known. You carry it so well, blah, 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 blah. Ryan always wins at the end of the day, which I also find a little bit ironic because this man is still fully in love with Gypsy. And everybody hates Gypsy but loves Ryan, even though Ryan loves Gypsy.
And Ryan would drop the public for Gypsy in a second.
It's ironic. It's just funny to watch.
I wonder what Ken felt about those texts. I'm guessing she got in some trouble at home. I mean,
yeah, I don't think anyone would feel great about that if you were on the other end of that. But I also think some compassion is in order as long as there wasn't obviously anything much more than that. I think Gypsy is postpartum. She is really struggling. Ryan's probably one of the only other people in the world that she does feel like she can trust, like she said in the video and all of that. And I do believe that she thought that she could trust him and all of that. And that's why she confided in him. But the thing is if you think you can trust somebody, then you need to also be responsible for maintaining that trust, which you broke. So I don't know why you think you can go around breaking trusts and expect Ryan not to do it at some point.
Right.
Especially when he's the public.
Like you said, she just outed his messages on the show. Why not him do the same? He's not outed her message, at least that I'm aware of, before. The public actually wants more.
Well, the public always wants more.
I hope we get it.
I'm here for it. I'll talk about it with y'all.
But anyways, to the episode now.
Yes, we start the episode off with some light yoga on the floor while Ken cleans the kitchen.
And I'm not one for these conspiracies usually, but she did not look pregnant. That would have been very difficult for me. I mean, I don't know, just the side of her. I don't know, maybe the baby shifted or something. Maybe it's on her other side, but I'm just saying it just didn't look.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a scene they shot after the baby was born and then put it here because sometimes they'd be piecing stuff together later on. And yeah,
I mean, yeah, the one time she had blonde hair and brown hair in the same scene with the same clothes on, so it's very much possible.
So she's talking to Ken about what they're going to be doing, and Ken is so excited because he's going to be doing this very bougie meal. And you know what? Thank goodness Ken can cook, because I know Gypsy can't.
I don't think Gypsy even appreciates that he can cook. I think Gypsy is still in the toddler stage of food, which is okay. She hasn't been exposed to a whole lot.
Yeah.
But Ken is in his full-on adult Louisiana gastropub bistro whatever stage of food. He thinks he's a whole chef in his home, which is great for him. But Gypsy, I don't think she gets it.
I don't think she does either. Ken's a good cook. If you can
Yep.
do beef Wellington by yourself with no help from
At the
nobody
same
and
time,
whatever.
he's making mashed potatoes, mac and cheese.
Mhm.
Yeah, he made like 4 different other dishes. He made a red wine reduction, squash,
He's
gravy,
like,
and
that's what that wine is for. The
I
red
know, I'm
wine
not gonna
reduction.
drink it. I'm like, come on, you're a bartender. You're telling me you don't have a drink once in a while?
Not while Lifetime was here and Gypsy's pregnant, and I'm not allowed to talk about that.
That's very true.
But I don't ever see him drink it either.
I don't either, really. I think I've seen him have like a drink, maybe. I couldn't tell if it was beer or not when he was on the boat with Rod. I mean, it could have been soda. But Gypsy requests to make Christmas mice, and she says that she made this with her mom. Have you ever heard of these?
What I know about them is that it's definitely poor people food from what it was described here.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's some things you could probably just find in the pantry. It was some cherries,
Cherries,
Hershey
chocolate, and
Kisses.
almonds cut. Like,
Yeah,
Dee Dee
almonds
used her
sliced.
last 4 almonds to make
I know, to make
Gypsy
7 different mice.
for Gypsy.
To make her 3 blonde mice.
I love how when she brings this up to Ken, Ken is talking about all these extravagant dishes he's doing, and she's like, we should do Christmas mice. And it's like these 3 ingredients,
Like,
and then
she's for real hopeful.
and Ken's like, I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm like, look at how she just explained it to you.
That's all there is to it, man. You dip them in chocolate and they are supposed to look like Mises.
Yeah, you just put them in the oven until they melt over the cherry, and there you go. We got a mouse. So basically, just chocolate covered cherries with 2 almonds on it.
Yeah.
That's a Christmas mash.
Christmas mice. So there you have it, Aurora. You'll be celebrating Christmas mice for the rest of your life.
You'll have beef Wellington and a full course meal from your dad, and then your mom's gonna make Christmas mice
Christmas
dessert.
mice. A la Dee Dee.
Next to her, what was that prison drink she also likes to?
Oh yeah, it was some kind of like pseudo coffee drink.
You'll be drinking that too.
She will be drinking that too. They pan over to Mia graduating and getting her photos done for that. That's the dueling situation going on this episode. The storyline, other than obviously Gypsy going into labor, is that Gypsy could be going into labor while Mia is graduating. So here starts the graduation situation.
I love this for Mia. And even the fact that Gypsy couldn't go, because I think if Gypsy was in that audience, a lot of the attention would be put on her being there.
I completely agree. I think the timing was phenomenal. It was divine for Mia and for Gypsy. Everything worked out the way that it needed to in all of these aspects. And you're completely right. If Gypsy was around, I think the focus would not have been as much on Mia.
And Chrissy talks about how proud she is of Mia. Mia deserves this little moment here in the show.
She does.
Amazing.
It's funny. My mom was watching this with me, and my mom doesn't watch all the Gypsy episodes, so she just saw this one. And so we're watching this, and she's like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "That's her stepsister Mia. That's Rod's daughter with Christy." And she's like, "Why is she on the show doing this?" I'm like, she's graduated. She's like having a moment. Be quiet. She's all like, "Why is she on Gypsy's show?" And I'm like, I get it, but
it's her sister. I liked watching her do this little photo shoot. I love that black dress and half of the stuff she wore, pretty much. But the black dress I thought was to die for. I want to find me a little one like that. I like that high neck.
She has a really cute sense of style. It's classy, but also it's fun.
The stuff she wore was pretty timeless, which you do want to wear timeless things when it comes to graduation, nursing, all that stuff, because I mean those photos follow you the rest of your life. But Christy's very proud of her. She's like, "This is the one I didn't have to worry about. We're gonna support them through anything." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you'll support them through anything, Christy. We know."
I mean, she will. She definitely will. She didn't have to support a whole lot though with Mia, just good things.
Yeah, but if she'll do it for Gypsy, I know she'll do it for Mia. So
she'll do it tenfold for Mia. Mia could do the worst of the worst. Chrissy's gonna be right there.
Mia can take out Rod.
You could take out Rod with that cast iron pan that we got canned for Christmas.
And Chrissy would still be there to support you through it.
She would.
Then we get to mirror that photo shoot with Gypsy's. I'd call it horrible, but only just because of this wig. Like, they really could have just had a black girl put this on, the correct way because and I'm white. I've worn wigs like this before, but if you're not going to glue it to your head, which I know they don't want to glue it to her head because they don't want her to wear this more than like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But typically with a lace front, you would glue it to your head. And I don't know, maybe the glue is just too strong to remove in the same day. But they didn't do nothing with this girl's baby hairs. They did not lay nothing. They just looked bad. I just felt like the front of the wig looked bad. And it could have looked good if somebody just laid those baby hairs down or cut some of them or because even as a white girl, we should know that that looks bad.
Yes.
She just needed to call one black person, but I don't even know if she knows one.
I don't know either. But yeah, this was fine. Those baby hairs were taken care of.
Yeah, they were just put to the side. They weren't actually laid nice. Nothing was.
I was laughing. My mom was like, I can't tell if you like her or not. And I was like, I can't either, Mom, but I can tell that I don't like this wig, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, her and her $36 Amazon wig went over to get her photos done.
That looks fine.
But it looks like it's coming off of her head. Her hairstyle wasn't like that. I think that's the wind.
Her forehead is growing.
Her reason for this wig is that she wanted long hair for this. Okay, I can see that. But why didn't she just get extensions? She has straight hair similar to that color. She could have just dyed her hair dark, put in some extensions. It would look natural.
I know. I was thinking the same exact thing. And she has pretty nice thick hair prior to giving birth. I know she's talking about it's all shedding and stuff now, but she has it going on with her hair. So I think extensions would have been the way to go. But whatever, Gypsy. She wanted to throw back to her wig stage. She's just been itching to get her head back into a wig. And ever since then, haven't you noticed she's just been wigging out?
She has. She wore a wig again recently. But I thought her synthetic wigs in the past looked better than this wig. So I was like, damn, girl, you could have chose that red one or that blonde one that we keep seeing you in.
Agreed. Later on, we visit Ken in the kitchen. This man's always in the kitchen cooking something up. He's finally cooking up his big dinner that he's been talking about. But he's got all his various different kinds of cheeses. He's getting to shredding and cutting and all the things. He says that Gypsy's at her prenatal appointment that he didn't want to go to because it's invasive. I'm sorry, but I would want my man's there with me.
I don't know what would be so invasive about it. Maybe it was a transvaginal ultrasound, but didn't Ken impregnate you? How much more invasive can he be?
That's what I was thinking. Like, what is it that could be embarrassing now, especially if he's going to be there when you give birth?
She'll be like, turn around. It's invasive. But Ken, you know what? I know why he likes the kitchen so much is because there's a counter, and he must really love counters. He's a bartender, so that's a big counter.
I think that's where he feels comfortable is doing stuff with his hands while he talks.
Behind a counter.
Yeah, even whenever he's filming, he's always in the kitchen.
He runs to the kitchen if he's not already there.
You're right. Like when Gypsy asked, how do you feel about me sitting down with Ryan? He jumped up and went to the kitchen. He said, well, let me talk about it.
Let me get one of my spot.
He does. Well, he's doing all this shredding too. He says that this is what gives him joy for holidays is to cook a big meal for people and for his family. So you can tell he's really excited about it. This man is energized. He's got all kinds of plans.
He likes to host. You can tell.
Especially for Christmas. He said Christmas is his favorite. Gypsy, not so much excited. She's also very pregnant, but she shares that she's had later on that she's had some just not super memorable Christmases. But Ken is here to change your world.
For a long time, it was just her and Dee Dee. And when it is just two people, there's not a ton you can do for Christmas. And just me and Dean for Christmas. We usually just watch some movies. Maybe we'll open a gift or two and then we eat. Like, we don't have kids. So there's nothing else for us to do. When it's just like two people, the Christmas experience just doesn't hit the same as if you were to have like an actual family experience. So sadly for Ken, as he's cooking, he gets, is it a call or a text?
He gets a text and then he tries to call her and she doesn't answer. And then eventually she gets on the phone and talks about being 3 centimeters dilated, saying that they're going to send her to the hospital, give her some steroids for the baby to have their lungs develop more. When she said that, she did sound like she was getting a little bit emotional, understandably. And then the nurse took over and talked to Ken and just said that the hope is that she doesn't dilate anymore, but that's what the steroids are for, to try and get her lungs more developed. So we are early.
He seems confused after this phone call.
Yeah, I can get that he's confused because she's not really saying everything's awful and she's not really like, oh my God, we're going to have a baby excited. It's just like kind of a wait and see what happens. And it's not going to be terrible if you have a baby at 35 weeks and it's not going to be great either.
Ken seems pretty upset that he's got to put this meal on pause, but that's what he does. And he hops in his car and drives to go see Gypsy in the hospital.
Beforehand, he does what every man does when they are looking for a bag, which is to look up and around, but never down. where bags usually are.
What I thought was funny about that, she says, okay, just get my bag and be here. Okay, hangs up the phone with her. Where is this bag? Why didn't you just ask her when you were just on the phone with her? Where is this bag? You were told about this bag a couple of times on the phone. So why didn't you just ask, where is it?
Right.
Instead, he had to try to call her back. She didn't answer. And then he's getting stressed.
He's sitting there waiting for confirmation. Is it this bag? It's just like, there's a bra in there and some clothing and probably a couple baby things. That's probably the bag, sir. Amount. And then
he could be wrong. And then he would never heard the end of that.
You could be wrong, but at the same time, he is so frazzled to get there. He's ripping the gas thing out that doesn't work. He's got people cutting him off on the highway, honking his horn, all kinds of stuff. He calls his mom so he can calm the F down.
I think his mom has a nursing background, but he asked, what do you think? And she's like, well, basically what they're already telling you.
Right. She said, call me when you know something.
She's like, this could progress, or she could sit 3 to 4 centimeters dilated for weeks. So that's basically what they told him on the phone as well. He didn't get anything new out of this, but I think he just needed to talk to somebody.
I think so, yeah.
He makes it, and it doesn't seem like she's there very long when he gets there. Just a few hours, and then they come back.
At 9:50, they get into the car because they show the time, and then he was resuming cutting his shallots by 5:39. Which is less than an hour from then. By the time Gypsy already changed her clothes and everything, and he was cutting those shallots.
And Gypsy has to be on bed rest because that baby wants to come, and it's still too early. As both Gypsy and Ken have said, she's just a couple of days shy of 35 weeks, which I think they wanted to correct that just in case. Because Ryan says later on in the same episode, I haven't seen Gypsy in 9 months, and then this baby's coming.
I know. I think the timelines are close either way. Either you have a premature baby that's Ken's, or you have a full-term baby that's Ryan's.
Well, and I'm confused because she recently said she got pregnant in April, but didn't that whole text response say she got pregnant May 2nd? Like, what?
You never know actually the day you get pregnant. There's no test for that.
Some people. So I guess you might if that's the only time you did something, but...
She said they were hooking up every day for 2 weeks or so. She posted every single day.
That's what I'm saying. She's saying that she didn't get pregnant then, that she got pregnant in May, but then now she's saying she got pregnant in April. So I'm like, girl, I don't know about you, but I'm just as confused.
We're all confused, Miss Ann. Don't worry.
Well, who's not confused is Ken, because he's putting this meal together flawlessly. He didn't even need all that time to put it together, but you could tell he wanted it.
These are the times that I can tell that I have anxiety. I was panicking for Ken making this dinner late, even though he had no reason to panic about making it late because they just got home. By the time this thing was done at 10 o'clock, I'm like, oh my God. Then they opened presents and I was like, it's got to be like midnight. Everybody's probably so tired.
And imagine Rod and Christy having to drive back, because if they're driving back, they're definitely driving back. They
are like 3 hours away.
Yeah. But Gypsy is laying on the couch just trying to make sure this baby don't come out.
Rod's trying to breathe through everything with her, and Gypsy is incredibly annoyed with her father.
Well, Rod and Ken are matching energies the whole time. If one got hyper, the other one got just as hyper.
Yeah, I think this was actually a funny scene to display. Rod has this funny relationship with Ken that I don't think... Well, everyone, yes. He's definitely a jokester, but I don't think he really had that so much with Ryan. He was kind of closed off with Ryan. He didn't talk to him very much, at least not on camera that I saw. He called the Wellington a pig in a blanket, and when it came out of the oven, he said, that's a big old French bread. He kind of picks on him, and I think it's funny and cute.
And sometimes I don't know if he's being genuine, because this is Rod. Like, could be damn, he's a big old pig in a blanket. Imagine being Ken perfecting the beef Wellington, which is, I believe, a really hard dish. I mean, you got to be a decent cook to be able to do that. And then here comes Rod. Thanks for the pig in a blanket.
The French bread. Right before dinner, Mia and Ken do have a little conversation off to the side, and Mia lets Ken know that he can always come to her if they have any problems, that, she's not going to automatically take Gypsy's side, which I believe that.
I think Mia's good at giving reality where it's due. More so than almost anybody else at that table.
Okay, Ken, he really outdid himself here.
He did. He made Thanksgiving meal.
After the hospital all day, 10 o'clock
that man
at
is
night.
Tired.
He whipped all this up in 4 hours.
I bet he did the dishes too, because he can't stay out of that damn kitchen. Have to, I guess. Gypsy's on bed rest.
Here it is.
Blanket I've ever had in my life. They do the gifts, which really put a lot of thought into his gifts. Damn chainsaw. I was like, who gives someone a chainsaw?
I know. He asked for a duck call, so I'm not understanding the relevance of the chainsaw. He seemed surprised by it himself. And then when he got the chainsaw, he said to Ken, like, I have to get you a gun.
Shotgun. It's a very manly gift. Like, I'm gonna have to one up that with another very manly gift.
You're right. I guess maybe that's what he was saying there.
I
So
think what did Ken get from Rod? I
got this frying pan.
Yeah, he got a frying pan, and then Rod gets duck calls, a jacket, and a chainsaw. Like, he's got to give him a shot.
Ken spoiled this family. I mean, I think these presents were from Gypsy as well, but they definitely got spoiled this year. Gypsy's happy for it. She says that when her and Dee Dee, celebrated Christmas, that it was meaningless because they didn't have family, together. Like you said, they did whatever with each other. So it brought some meaning to her to celebrate some family traditions with her family.
And I'm glad to see this for her, but Mia's getting ready for her graduation. They're talking about how their only hope is that Gypsy does not go into labor right now while Mia's graduating, which I still think there's enough time for both things to happen at once. Even if Gypsy did go into labor right now, she's probably still got a few hours. I would still, like Christy said, go to the graduation and then we rush to the hospital.
All ass to the hospital only. I think you're right. There's no reason to rush over there unless you're the one having the baby.
Even when you're the one having the baby, I've heard a lot just to stay home for a while and then you can go in. Because once you go there, they don't let you eat or nothing.
Oh, yeah. You're sitting there uncomfortable, poked, prodded, all the things. So, yeah, that's their biggest fear for the day. So they're on pins and needles, hoping not to get that phone call from Gypsy while Mia is graduating. And as they leave, Rod says to Christy, put that little hard-headed kid through college. And she says, yep, I feel like we're both graduating.
Rod is gone most of the time on a boat. So, yeah, I mean, this is a lot of Christy's doing. So, we have a lot to say about Christy, but obviously she's done something right with Mia. I mean, Mia's very well-rounded. And I do think a lot of that is Rod, but Christy was around a lot more than he was.
Mia has her graduation and Gypsy's on FaceTime watching the whole thing. As all pregnant big sisters do. They have a little dinner afterwards, and this tired nursing student gives herself an espresso martini, sits down with her man and her parents, and enjoys the fruits of all of her labor while her dad gives her a nice speech.
You know how at one point they showed Gypsy on FaceTime during this? Yeah. She's like watching. Okay. So I think that was shared on social media around that time. And the rumor around this time was because you could see a headboard behind her. People thought that was Ryan's. No, they thought it was Ryan's headboard and that Gypsy and Ken had broken up.
Yes, they were. Yes,
so it's funny to see that Gypsy was really just at Ken's house.
Like, yes, yeah.
I know sometimes people be like, well, the rumor is still true because of this, but no, she was not at Ryan's. There's no way.
Right. I think there's definitely some rumors that could be true, but this one probably.
Yeah.
Especially once we see the end of this episode.
But back to this, I do like that Rod wrote down everything that he said to her, so this way she can have that for years to come. And it's not just like a memory of him saying it. She'll actually have word for word what he said. I did like that. It was chicken scratch, but she has it.
Yes. They walk around with their fingers crossed all night, as Rod says, and enjoy Mia and her celebratory day. Congrats to Mia.
With her boyfriend, who we got to at least see for a split second.
There he is.
He's proud and matching the table. What's up with these guys wearing beige and matching the furniture in our shows right now?
I know. Even Rod's hat matches.
It's like that guy trying to impress Rod. Like he knows Rod loves beige. So he's like, let me put on some beige.
Isn't Christy wearing some beige pants? Weren't they talking about that?
They were matching. She was wearing light blue on top.
And beige.
We love beige.
We love the beige.
So now we're getting into the real nitty and gritty of the episode. The most interesting part for us, as always, which involves Ryan. But Gypsy is trying to get Ryan to sign a paper that would give them permission to then have Aurora be born a Blanchard and not an Anderson. As long as he consents to it and signs this paper, then I guess that's a go. But what I don't understand, and maybe you can help me out with this, is aren't we in 2025? Why does Ryan have to drive all the way to the hospital to do this? Isn't there a way to do like a notary or something? Why would he have to drive like 7 hours total to do this? Like there's no better way. Like
I don't have any more expertise than you have, but I do think that this is just one of those things when it comes to a live birth and a birth certificate and changing something that is typically the law. I feel like those things just have to happen ink to paper, not done electronically. There's some things that just have to be done in person, and I think this is unfortunately just one of them. But I agree.
I guess I was also wondering if maybe they would also have him just rule out paternity right then and there. Maybe that's why they need him there.
Well, I think that's why he needs to be there in person. Yes, because he's also going to be listed as the father on the birth certificate. So to change that, even though they've proved paternity for Ken because of the law or whatever, I think he does need to just say he's relinquishing paternity. But I think that's just one of those things that have to happen in person.
I am curious if you guys know the exact reasoning for sure.
Right.
I mean, we're spitballing here, but yeah, if you guys know for sure why he would have to go there to be in person, or if you've been through something similar, let us know. But I just question that because I'm like, damn, that is torture. First, when I saw the preview and Ryan talking about this, I was like, damn it, Ryan, just sign the damn paper. But
right,
now,
it's just a paper. Go to your lawyer's office, sign it, go home, cry your eyes out, whatever. But
yeah,
to ask someone to drive this drive is, I wouldn't want to do that for anybody. There are people I would do it for, but my about to be ex-wife who just had a baby on me the day of her birth, I don't know. I feel for him. Like, I do really think that he cares for her a lot and he would do anything for her. I think that that's why he has let this divorce go on so easily and has not really done a whole lot. I mean, there's a lot more that I'm sure could have been done. We just saw a little edge of the iceberg over this past weekend. So I think he would do a lot for her, but I think to ask him to drive this far, I'm telling you, if it was the local hospital, I think Ryan would be there. I don't even think it'd be a thing on TV. I think he would have said yes and nobody would have even known about it. He would have shown up, signed his paper, and left.
Yeah, I mean, he might have thought about it for a second because it is getting him in his feels. Because this is Ryan. I mean, he's sentimental about everything. And
he is.
mind
It's
you,
Anderson.
He's an Anderson. And if you're asking Ryan Anderson to get in a car and drive 3 hours there, imagine the anticipation getting there, thinking, oh, I could run into somebody. Because if I was Ryan, if I am going to do it, I'm trying to run in and run out without being seen. And Ryan's a pretty big guy. I don't know if I could camouflage myself, but I'd be pulling an Octomom and dressing up as much as I can and not be seen, even if I'd be noticed but not seen. You know, but Ryan's a little too big for that. They would know it's Ryan if he was dressed up like Octomom for sure.
That's very true.
I just couldn't imagine the anticipation, the drive there, and then the whole way back to just reeling from that, and then hoping you don't see one of them, and then what if you do? What if you run into Rod at the vending machine?
I know. I know. So Gypsy's talking to her lawyer, who I guess I was assuming was that guy. I think his name's Mike, but it says Gypsy's legal representative, so it's got to be somebody else because they would have just said him.
She said she, so it sounds like her and Ken have a different lawyer now, probably through the divorce. I'm sure that this guy was more of a defense attorney.
And he has turned into more of a personal friend and confidant at this point and almost like a manager. So, yeah, she needs like an actual attorney.
Divorce attorney, yeah. Because sometimes these attorneys have different specialties, so they can't do certain things.
Correct. So she says she wants to know the best way to communicate all of these issues to Ryan. And obviously the attorney says, well, I'll take your money and I will communicate it to his lawyer. And I think that is the best way to communicate it. But, you know, it does put money in her pocket. So,
but it's not enough for Gypsy. She also wants to get a hold of Ryan's mom.
Yep, she does. I think Ryan says it best. She kind of confides in Ryan's mom when Ryan won't respond to her. And I think here we go with the manipulation on Gypsy's end, right? Just let's get mom involved.
My joy.
My joy.
That's so manipulative. Like, I don't care. That is such manipulation to call her my joy when you don't talk to this lady. You're just trying to get something that you want, which, I mean, yeah, work every angle you can. But, I mean, that's just so obviously.
I know. And she says, she's like, you know, it just tugs at my heartstrings.
Just like Ryan. Like this is where Ryan gets it.
It is. It is. Ryan looks like that commercial where the person's deflated on the couch from drugs.
It was the old Under the Influence commercials.
Like when he's on drugs, yeah. The Dare commercial. Where
above the influence, that's what it was.
Above the influence. Yeah, and he is above the influence.
Actually, go Ryan. Anyways, yeah, he doesn't like that Gypsy is saying that to his mom, and not just because it's manipulative, but because it gets him in his thoughts.
Poor baby Ryan.
And she's like, oh no, you don't have to. Lady, you know this man. He is your son. He must have got half of these traits from you at minimum. This man is going to hold on to that. She called you my joy. He's going to go home and hold her that picture's hand and call her his joy. I remember when you was my joy.
And you can tell that she's sentimental towards Gypsy as well in this whole scene, that she's broken up about the whole situation too. She just saw her 2 weeks before and then 2 weeks later she was gone and all this stuff. This family is still just really struggling.
I do feel bad for his mom because that's got to be hard. And not just for that, but they've accepted this felon into their family. I'm sure amongst much adversity in some way. Imagine my son just got married. Who's his wife? Gypsy Rose Blanchard Anderson.
It's true.
It's not the most pleasant of conversations to have with other people. So it's not just Gypsy, Ryan, and Ken who are involved here. There's a scope of people who are also affected by these decisions. And I honestly think this scene is what got Gypsy to publicly apologize to Ryan, because I would hope, I didn't watch her live. I need to start watching her live react to these episodes. I'm assuming when she saw Ryan's mom talking this way about her, it probably made her feel a little bad. It should.
You should feel bad if
You
you hear
should,
this.
especially when you're trying to get what you can out of this lady. And these people have been through so much. Just like Ryan said, when it comes to this drive and everything, like, haven't you put me through enough? A lot to ask.
It is a
And
lot to
almost
ask.
beg for. This girl is having her lawyer contact his lawyer, and then she knows he knows about this, but she still wants to go to his mom. It's like, you're being very pushy,
It's
just like you
invasive.
were.
It's
Just
borderline harassment. If you're contacting someone through your lawyer, that's because you know that you should not be contacting them in person or that you're having a hard time getting a hold of them or whatever. But then to go and contact other people who know them and request them to talk on your, it's just a lot. You're doing a lot. Aren't you supposed to be on bed rest? And I know that this has to do with your daughter. And so there's probably nothing that you'll stop at to have that all go right, especially with Ken involved and all of that. No, I understand her perspective, but I think she is lost in her own perspective because this is the biggest thing that's happened in her life for her to have a baby and she wants this to go right. She has a hard time not being selfish on good circumstances, but right now she's thinking about her child and I don't think she can see past herself to consider what she's asking this man.
I agree with that. And it is a lot to ask for Ryan.
Definitely. The hardest part for Ryan isn't necessarily the drive, but the fact that it's no longer going to be an Anderson.
Yes, they do talk about the fact that they just don't want this baby to be an Anderson. And both of these people almost seem confused by that for a minute. Even the mom was like, I don't know why she'd go with Blanchard. I think they're thinking that they would just use Ken's last name. But I do think it's smart for Gypsy to not just use Ken's last name. I mean, she just got divorced.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. Just because she's having a baby with somebody doesn't mean it's going to necessarily work out. And how many times do we see people use the dude's name and then the dude leaves or something?
I think 9 times out of 10, the mom would prefer to have the same last name as their child, regardless of whose name that is. And so I think Blanchard is just, that's the name.
I'm a whole adult. I met Dean at 28 years old. I told him then, if we were to get pregnant right now, I would give the baby my last name unless we were married. So you know what he did? He married me. He was not having that.
I think that that's part of your right too as a mom, especially if you're having a baby that's outside of a marriage. Yeah, I could understand why Gypsy's doing what she's doing. I also feel like part of the reason they're having this back and forth about why she might be choosing Blanchard versus Urquhart is because maybe she's not completely out of the marriage and maybe one day she will again be an Anderson.
I mean, I get that, but I think it's all irrelevant to even suspect because no one wants this baby particular to be an Anderson. Like, except Ryan.
Except Ryan Anderson.
Except possibly Ryan Anderson. But knowing this baby is not biologically his, at least we assume. So, I mean, not saying that it couldn't be. I mean, there's a chance, as Ryan likes to say.
Possible.
10% chance. It's always possible with Ryan. It's a mute point at this point. Who cares what last name she gives the baby? She can give the baby the last name Bill Bob Bickerson, and it wouldn't matter because it's not your baby.
It's not. It's literally not. But as we'll see in the previews for, I believe, the final episode, they didn't say. He still isn't sure if the baby is his or not. He says he's got to be 100% sure. So, jeez.
Yeah, he's never driving to that hospital. I think part of it, a small part of it, maybe, not just that it's hard for him, because it is hard. It's a big ask. I don't know if I would do it either, to be honest, under them circumstances. If I could do a notary at a lawyer's office, sure, but driving all that, I don't know if I'd do that either. But I do think,
know what day it's gonna be. Like a birth happens organically.
He could be in class with a student. I don't blame him for not wanting to do that. I forgot what my original point was going to be. I forget.
Well, the production ad, wouldn't you be tempted to see her if you do go and drive all of this way? And
what's he supposed to walk in the room and say, hey, everybody?
That's what he pretty much said, too. He's like, I don't know what it would be like for her to have all her family there and her boyfriend and her baby daddy, as if those are two different people. But he said, I don't know what it'd be like to have all those people in the room.
Maybe he meant he's the baby daddy, her boyfriend and her baby daddy.
The revelations continue.
I mean, you know, there's a part of Ryan that hopes that this baby still is. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I think that part of his motivation to not do this, in a sense, is just to kind of prolong this. Maybe, I know I saw a preview, something about Gypsy meeting up with him with Aurora. She's going to offer him this. And I think maybe he just didn't want to acknowledge it then, because then that's signing her away. And then that means Gypsy will be done with him and wash her hands of him and all this stuff.
He has been avoiding the washing of hands forever. But the thing is, he's not going to be able to avoid this paternity thing forever. If he refuses, I guess they could wait the 300 days out and they'll just do what they cannot do with their biological child. I understand not driving all those ways and all of that, but if you don't do that, then yes, you need to get paternity test done and get this baby not an Anderson. If this baby is not an Anderson.
Yeah. It's just making you look crazy. This baby is not going to remember being an Anderson if it was an Anderson for under a year. It's not going to remember. Like, oh, I was an Anderson. No,
well, that's why Ken was saying he'd been at peace with whatever happens anyways, because it's essentially going to be like it never happened once they fix it. So
yeah,
who cares?
I think Ken's got a good attitude about it. I mean, you have to have
he has no choice, but I think he's
have the premarital risk that he took.
More than a premarital risk. I mean, she's married. A marital risk, an extramarital risk.
Yes, he knew what risk he was taking when she wasn't divorced yet. He kind of has to be like that because
she wasn't even separated. She was just straight up cheated on this man.
He was sniffing around.
He was sniffing around, and she went and sniffed around too.
Both their noses got dirty, and one of them got cut off in the process.
Yep, and here we are in the fruits of that process at 3 o'clock in the morning. Poor old Gypsy sneezed, and her water broke.
And that was it.
And here comes Aurora. I mean, she's on the way. She gets her epidural. People start showing up. Ken shows up from work. Feels like he damn finished off his shift. He didn't get there till like 3, 4 o'clock or something. But yeah, they're all there. They're waiting for a baby, and they're going to be parents. So that's kind of how they leave it.
Yep. So next episode, we will see the aftermath of the birth and Ryan's decision on if he's going to sign this paper or not.
Ken, obviously they have the baby, but Ken's also going to have this conversation with Gypsy about how she's doing. And she says that she feels like she's figuring it all out on her own. And I'm guessing that this is around the time that she was probably texting Ryan. And possibly around the time, I don't know, that maybe Chrissy took a little sabbatical for a while from her family. She said, peace out, all y'all. We also see Gypsy kind of grappling once she's had her baby with the reality that this baby could one day make up their own decision about Gypsy and what she did and have their own opinion about it, and that she obviously really wants her own child to love her and forgive her. So she's like sobbing. And we're also going to see Ryan talk to a friend and still in this denial of, wouldn't it really be crazy if the baby was mine? And then, like you said, Gypsy's going to talk about actually talking to Ryan on the phone. So they have unblocked each other at this point. So I'm guessing that they had been texting. And she says that she wants to meet up with the baby and have some kind of paternity test. And Rod thinks that that is a terrible idea. He almost jumps out of his damn seat. He can't even think about it. He's just like, this is the DD in her. This is crazy. Just make it stop.
PTSD.
I know. At that point, we cut to Ryan and he says, I have to be 100% sure that the baby's not mine. And so that makes me think that he almost agrees to this whole meeting. And wouldn't that be wild if we end season 2 on Gypsy talking to Ryan? Because we ended season 1 on Gypsy talking to Ken. And not
with
even maybe just talking, but just here they are together.
With a paternity test and the baby.
And a freaking baby who's an Anderson.
Which the baby was already tested to be Ken's, which I'm assuming it's already been twice now, because I would think the court would have also done that. But I think the court used the same place or something is what I read. I don't know.
Even if they do use the same place, I think it's different when one is court ordered versus someone just went and got it. But yeah, I mean, there's paternity test after paternity test. I'm pretty sure it's well established that Ken is the father at this point, but I don't know. Everybody's in a little bit of denial.
I think what really freaks people out is the size of this baby and how early it came. So that's the only thing that kind of throws me off too. I do understand.
Isn't it weird too, though? I mean, maybe this was planted, maybe not, but that Ken had called his mom while they were cooking and said, was I early? And she said, yeah, you were 17 days early, but you were big as hell. You were 10 pounds, which would track. That could have been voiceover. That could have been put in, whatever. But I kind of have an ear for that after editing voiceovers because it's always a little bit different of a tone and quieter and stuff. And it sounded like he really did call his mom, and she said that. She said his due date was October 17th and his birthday is October 1st. And she said, but you were a big baby.
Which is the same day as a friend, Carly.
Oh, yes.
Ken is Carly. That makes a little sense.
Carly.
Ken is little Carly.
Totally a female Carly or a male.
I know Ryan hates him, but he's really not problematic.
I think Ken is a nice guy. I know that he, was...
He's weird about food. Ken does have a weird fetish.
He's got a weird food thing, for sure. Yeah.
A weird food thing.
And he was very much complicit in an extramarital affair, but that doesn't really make you like a bad person.
The food thing was confirmed to us today. He made a whole meal for everybody. There's no way he could have stood for someone else making him a meal on Christmas. Ken has to feed the world. He wants us all to eat off his menu.
We'll leave you all with that. Don't forget to like, comment. Please subscribe. We are only like 10 subscribers away from our $900 goal.
We don't get paid for this, you guys.
We don't.
In fact, we pay more into this than we get
I
paid.
think so, yes, but we
Yeah.
get paid in love. We're only 10 away from our 900 subscriber goal. So please subscribe if you've been watching. Also, don't forget to like and comment. Let us know what you think of the video. Click the share button and copy the link. And we will see y'all next week.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna, and goodbye.
Goodbye, you.
Goodbye, you, Baby Anderson.